Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Lewis. I'm assistant head here at Newstead Wood, and I'm here to talk to you today about learning to fly in the sixth form. That means the kinds of learning we expect to see from our sixth form students and how to get them where they need to be in their learning. So first of all, let's just have a think about the destination. What do we want from our students? How do we want them to end up as they come through their sixth form years? First of all, we want them to be experts, to feel like experts, to feel they know their subjects very, very well. We want them to be critical. We want them to think carefully about the claims and the ideas of others, to challenge, to listen, and to exactly focus on the ideas that they hear. We want them to be enthusiastic. We want them to really care about their learning. We want them to be passionate about what they learn, what they are studying. We want them to be precise. We want them to know things very, very clearly and very precisely and have information and knowledge at their fingertips. We want them to be confident. We want them to know that they are good at what they do, to know that they know things. Not be afraid of talking about it, not be afraid of showing what they know. We want them to be curious, we want them to find out more. We want them to be engaged, not just with their own learning at school, but also with the outside world and thinking about what they can do with everything that they learn, everything they know, to change the world and to have an impact on the world. So that's the profile that we're looking for with our students. That's where we want them to end up. How do we get there? Well, first of all, they get there through what's happening in the classroom. So through their lessons, through our very high quality expert teaching, through their teachers being enthusiastic and expert and passionate about their subjects and communicating that in the classroom, and through the very high expectations that they have of all students to do well in the classroom. And we also get there through what they do outside the classroom, and that's the main thing I'm focusing on in this presentation today. What are they doing outside the classroom? They are challenging themselves, they're being ambitious, and they're being independent. So what does that look like in practice? Well, we expect all our students to be spending 5 hours for each of their A-level subjects, working independently. We give them time to do that in the school timetable. However, they should also be doing work at home. So please do expect your sons and your daughters to have things to be doing at home right now. From the beginning of the course, they should be coming home and doing a little bit of work every night. About 90 minutes a night is plenty. We don't expect more than that. They shouldn't be doing working for hours and hours and hours a night. That's just not healthy. They need to be spending time with their families too, and doing other things as well. What kind of work are they doing? Well, their A-level teachers will be setting work for them. However, there are also things that they should be doing themselves and directing themselves to do. So this is what we call self-directed study. What does that mean? What does it look like? Well, self-directed study is things that the students decide themselves they need to do in order to get better at the subject, to better understand it, to better develop their knowledge. So they're doing this kind of thing. First of all, they could be consolidating their knowledge through testing themselves, through quizzing themselves, through doing work on what they've been doing on in their lessons over the last couple of weeks, making sure that they remember it, making sure that they understand it. They could be doing additional reading, so reading beyond what's happened in the classroom. We would expect them, if they are doing reading, to be making notes, okay, to help them remember it, to help them get the most from it. They might be doing some writing. So they might be writing summaries of what they've learned, summaries of what they did in the lesson this week or last week. They might be writing short paragraphs of an answer. Okay, we wouldn't necessarily expect them to be writing essays and essays and essays, but we would be expecting them to do a little bit of writing just to help them to remember what they've studied. They might be listening. They might be listening, for example, to podcasts or documentaries, or they might be watching documentaries on TV or on the internet. Again, we'd expect them to be making notes as they did that to help them remember, so that it's not just a passive experience, it's something that they're fully engaged with. They might be also thinking ahead, thinking toward to the next lesson. What's happening next? What do I need to prepare for? What do I need to find out more about before my next lesson? Now, we would expect students to know what's coming up in their next lesson so they can do that. So if your daughter or your son feels they don't know what's happening in biology next lesson, or what's happening in history next lesson, they should ask their teacher so that they can do that preparatory work, that preparatory reading, to help them get a head start in their lesson. They might also be doing some reading of newspaper articles, magazine articles. For example, if they're studying science, there is an awful lot going on in the newspapers, in the magazines like New Scientist or like Biology Review, where they are focusing on science in the real world. So that could be about COVID, or it could be about any other scientific story that's around now. And that can be a really useful thing for them to do to help crystallize their scientific knowledge and to understand how to apply the ideas and knowledge they've learned in the classroom. A couple of other things you need to know about. So we have a platform called Show My Homework. This is an online platform that we use to manage homework. Parents can have access to that, and hopefully by the time you watch this you will have had an access code for that. If not, it's coming very, very soon. You can use that to check what homework your daughter or your son has been set, and you can also check whether it's been marked as completed. If your daughter or your son's teacher has put marks and comments on there, you'll also be able to see those. So it's a really useful tool for you just to keep in touch with your daughter and your son's work and how it's going. It needn't be a kind of intrusive thing. Obviously, you want them to be independent, you want them to do their own thing, but it will help you to have those conversations with them and make sure that everything is happening as it should. The other thing, which I hope you'll find useful, is learning to fly. So on our school website, we have got, for each subject, a document of ideas. So there are ideas for reading, ideas for viewing, ideas for listening, things you can do to get better at the subject, and things you can do to expand your knowledge and develop your knowledge. Now, we'd expect particularly sixth form students to be really engaging with those. So for your A-level subjects, what are you doing to develop your understanding, to really build up that knowledge beyond what happens in the classroom? And the Learning to Fly documents give a really clear set of possible actions that they can take to develop. The other thing that they might be thinking about is an EPQ. So every year we have about half of our students doing an EPQ. As I'm sure you know, it's a chance for students to study one thing in really great depth. So they might, for example, if they're interested in medicine, they might complete an EPQ on possible treatments for asthma. And that gives them an opportunity to look really closely at that, to conduct original research, to conduct interviews, and all those kinds of things, which are really going to help build a mastery for that topic. Now, this year, we've got lots of students who in Year 12 who have already been working on an EPQ, who started working on it in March and April, and are carrying on now and have actually got quite far. We've got others who haven't done anything, and that's fine too. So if you are ready by the end of this term, we will be able to finish that process off and actually have those EPQs certificated and assessed in January So that means that you'll be able to get yourself your A star or your A right here in year 12. If you need a bit longer and you need to go into year 13 with it, that's fine too. We'll be having another process in November of next year for people who want to go down that route. I'll be getting in touch with all the students very, very soon to let them know the next steps and asking them to decide their entry point. Another thing which is really important as we're working on thinking about independent work is looking at the next stage as well. So obviously looking beyond A levels, thinking about which subjects you might be interested in taking further, and actually actively, not being waiting to be told or given permission, actively going out and starting to read. So most universities will have a reading list on their website for the department, for the subject you're interested in. There is no harm at all at actually starting to do that and reading now and helping you get a head start. It'll help with your application and it will also help you when you're there. So that's my overview of learning beyond the classroom. If you've got any questions at all, either students and parents about teaching and learning, please get in touch. You can get in touch with the head of department for your subject, and the email addresses are on the website, or you can get in touch with me, Mr. Lewis, on that address, jlewis@newsteadwood.co.uk. And I really look forward to working with you and working with your daughters and your sons over the course of the year. Thank you very much.